Buy nice or buy twice. So how does the Jeep Wrangler Deluxe 4-seater stroller wagon fit into this? Are there any compromises by picking it over some popular brands like Veer or Wonderfold? In this video, I'll give you an in-depth review of the pros and cons and why I ultimately picked the Jeep Wrangler Deluxe 4-seater. The Jeep Wrangler Deluxe 4-seater stroller wagon is probably one of the most unique stroller wagons in the market, and the name is way too long, so for simplicity of the rest of this video, I'm just going to be calling it the Jeep wagon. Also, as a point of reference, my children are 5 and 2. Before diving into the pros and cons of the Jeep wagon, let's talk about the price, which is one of the main deciding factors that influences parents' decisions. At a whopping retail price of $599.99, this is by no means cheap. However, it's still somehow more budget-friendly than other 4-seat stroller wagons like the Veer XL or the wonderful W4. Not only is it cheaper, but it includes a ton of accessories that most companies make you purchase separately. With the inclusion of a bunch of accessories and a cheaper starting price than many of the competitors, I would say that the 4-seater wagon price is pretty acceptable. Would I like it to be cheaper? Of course, but that's just the reality of stroller wagons. Luckily, it seems that the Jeep wagon does go on sale every so often. As in making this video, it's $539.99, and I purchased it when it was on sale on Prime Day for $509.99. So my suggestion would be to wait for a sale unless you need it immediately. Alright, so as I was editing the video, I found out that Costco is running a sale on this Jeep wagon right now. It's going for $439.99. So that's quite a big saving. You have until September 2nd, 2024 to get it at this price. I'm not sure if it's going to go on sale again. I believe this is the lowest price I've seen it, at least from a legit place like Costco, which you also get really good warranty. So if you're ever thinking about buying the Jeep, this is pretty much the time to buy it. And if you're watching this past the September 2nd, you might have to wait for a different sale. Now, the main feature that caught my eye for this is the arrangement of the seats. The seats can be placed to face each other like traditional stroller wagons or face outwards, kind of like a bus. I don't know of any other stroller wagons that does this besides the Jeep's own 2-seater version. Initially, I thought the bus configuration would be the one I used most, with one child in the front and one in the back. But my kids like sitting next to each other more. This way, it actually leaves us more room to store things in the sections they're not in. We just leave the second seat in the car and only install one set of seats, giving us plenty of storage space. Generally, my children prefer sitting on the inside, but on occasions where they will be exiting and entering the wagon frequently, it's easier for them to sit in the front. Although when they sit in the front, they don't have access to the snack tray. Jeep does include 2 cup holders that can be placed on the side, so they still have easy access to the water bottles. They even get a footrest whenever they're facing outwards. And note, this is only a footrest and not for your children to use to get on and off. Each seat also includes a 5-point harness to keep your children secure. When I first got the Jeep, I thought the seats were a bit hard to take off. However, now that I've taken it on and off a couple times, it's much easier. I'm not sure just because of the frequent on and off that I've done, that I've kind of loosened the plastic, or I just figured out how to do it. For removal, I found it best you hold this section of the seat and pull up, and then pull the other side. It does take a bit of force. To have the seats face outwards, you do have an additional step in unzipping the sides here, then pulling these little sections right here to release the bar. Afterwards, you can fold it inwards to get it out of the way to install the seats facing outwards. Honestly, the flexibility of seating arrangements alone would have sold me on this unit, but luckily it has quite a few other things going for it, like how easy it is to push the wagon. It doesn't take much effort to push and steer the wagon, and as you can see here, I'm using just one hand to steer the wagon around a corner without any issues. I do want to note that it does get a bit harder to steer if it's heavier in the front, which is what happened when we sat both our kids in the front for the zoo visit. The handlebars can also be adjusted to various positions so that the parents of all heights can comfortably push or pull the wagon. The back wheels are 12 inches and the front wheel are 8 inches. I wouldn't consider the wheels all-terrain, but I didn't have any trouble pushing the stroller on gravel hiking trails. The front wheels also have built-in shocks for a smoother ride. The brakes work very well and are easy to use. It's a single brake lever that you step down to lock and step on the inner side to release. I like this style as I don't have to put my shoes under the lever. And as I previously mentioned, Jeep includes a handful of useful accessories. The big one, of course, is the canopy. It's really easy to install. You just need to slide each of the poles into the corresponding attachment area. Each side is marked either with an L for left or R for right. This lets you know which side belongs on which side, although it's fairly easy to tell since it's a rectangle. The canopy even has a built-in zipper that houses either a mesh screen to keep out bugs or blackout privacy screen. As with any canopy this style, having it on does make getting in and out of the wagon a little bit more difficult for the children. The snack tray extends to fit perfectly in the middle. The water cup size on them is a good size, but the snack area is a bit small. I would have preferred it if it was bigger and divided into 2 different sides. Which wagon? You like this Jeep wagon or you like the one we have at home? Jeep? No. Why?
I like my home. It got so we can pull it up easily.
Before purchasing the Jeep, I didn't think that I really needed a cooler bag, but it just makes so much more sense now. It's the perfect place to keep snacks in a temperature-controlled environment. The cooler is easily removable as it just hooks into place like this. The parent organizer is another nice touch for extra storage space. It's also removable by pressing these buttons on both sides to release it. This isn't the only storage either, as you do have a big pocket over here in the front. And since it's in the front side, I imagine it's for things you don't always need access to, and maybe such as a blanket. If you need additional storage space, they have these side zippers here that allow you to store things underneath your child's seats. They even have a net that keeps the stuff from rolling into your child's feet. The wagon unfolds very easily. Unlatch the wagon and push it down and it's ready to use. I found the unfolding process to be more simple compared to something like my even flow pivot. Folding up the Jeep wagon is just as easy. Pull the strap in the center until the lock on the side clicks into place. The only complaint I have about this is that both the seat and the snack tray needs to be removed in order for the wagon to be folded up for transportation. I really wish I could at least leave one set of seats in it. And this is the perfect segue to talk about the cons I found with the Jeep wagon. The Jeep wagon is extremely heavy. It weighs over 50 pounds, so it's not easy to take in and out of the car. Even folded up, the Jeep wagon is huge. If you drive a smaller car, I think twice before getting this. On our trip to Denver, our rental was a Subaru Outback, which is a mid-size SUV, and the wagon was too long to be stored lengthwise. The only saving grace is that the wheels are easily removed. The front ones have a release button that easily pops off, while the rear does require a bit more fiddling with. Press these release pins and pull away from the frame. Not the end of the world, but it does add a couple minutes of setup and tear down every time you use the wagon if it doesn't fit inside your trunk. Usually, I had everything ready by the time my children were buckled in their car seats though. This isn't a huge con, but if you do want to arrange the seats in traditional stroller wagon configuration, your children won't have much legroom. One of the biggest reasons we decided on upgrading to a bigger stroller wagon was because our kids' legs were constantly bumping into each other in our even flow pivot. In my situation, I don't foresee my children sitting in that configuration as they both like seeing what's ahead of them, so they'll either sit side by side or bus style. When I first bought the Jeep wagon, I really only wanted it for the seat configurations, but I found the maneuverability to be really good and on par with premium strollers like UPPAbaby. This really made the user experience very pleasant. I wasn't expecting the steering to feel this smooth, as I used the keens and even steered a Veer before and found the steering on them to be lacking when compared to regular strollers or even the Pivot. Overall, I'm extremely happy with the purchase even with the cons. I think the pros do outweigh them. And it also helps that I drive a Sienna, so I can just drop the wagon into the trunk without the need to remove the wheels. What about you? Are you considering the Jeep Wagon Deluxe 4-seater? Are the pros good enough for you to overlook the cons? Let me know down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.